So on that topic, we're going to be using Threepenny GUI. So the next lab, you have to write, the standard lab, you have to write graphical user interface for a Haskell program. And we're going to use something called Threepenny GUI. So here's some examples of programs written with Threepenny GUI. But the library itself is defined on Hackage. So we just go here to Threepenny GUI, open it up, and here we get the documentation, right? So there's instructions online as a description of the lab on how to install Threepenny GUI. But what you essentially do is that you just write cabal install Threepenny GUI. Now I won't run it here because I have a bit of a wonky setup, so it doesn't actually work when I run this command. But I already have it installed, so it won't, you know, if you try to install it when you already have it installed, it will complain. Okay, now let's see how, like, what can we do with Threepenny GUI? Okay, so we start off here, and we have to import Threepenny GUI. So we write import qualified graphics dot threepenny dot UI dot threepenny as UI, and then we import the graphics dot UI dot threepenny dot core directly. So we put that into the top level scope. Okay, and how do we run these programs? Well, we use the setup function. So the setup is a function called that has a type window to UI, and the setup takes in a window, and then we say do. So this is going to be in the UI monad, which is a monad that's just on top of IO, and it has all these special operations relating to how this GUI works. Okay, so we say setup window, and we can say return window, and then we use this bang operator here, set UI.title hangman. Okay, and what this essentially does is that it takes the window here. So we generate a window, and we set the title of that window to be hangman using this hashtag, which essentially says, okay, modify this preceding element here. Okay, now, how do we run it? Well, we change our main method to start GUI, default config, and then we modify that. Okay, we just say default config, and then we run the setup method, and that's the entire thing. Now we build it, cabal build. So that's for my setup. It resolves dependencies and it builds it all. Okay, so there's something wrong here. Right, so I should be returning nothing. So let's run it. Kit match type UI with UI window. Okay, so let's see, what do we do here? Yeah. So we return the window. So we just return the window, and we modify the window, and then we just return nothing. Okay, now it builds and compiles. So we run it by just running the main function. I say cabal run, and I want the port to be 8024. So I say port 8024, and then cabal run, push enter. That's already in use. Okay, and then I just use some other port, 8025. And then we can go here and we say localhost 8025. And then it opens up a window, and the window title is hangman. Okay, now we want to add some elements to this window, right? So let's say here we're going to say, okay, we're going to create a button. So how do you do that? We just write button, and we have the creation function, which is just UI.button, and we are going to set the internal text of that button to be guess. This is going to be a button we press when we guess in hangman. And then what we have to do is we have to say get body window. So then we get the body of the window. So if we look at the code here, this is the window, and then there's this body, right? We want to get this element from the HTML, and then we want to say hashtag plus. So this is all kind of things you just kind of copy and paste, right? But this hashtag plus here means essentially append something, right? So what are we appending? We're going to append a list of things. That's what the hashtag plus does. and we want to append the element button. Okay, so now we run it and we save it, and we run it again, and we have a button. And we can press the button, but we haven't said anything, right? And we see the button here, and then the button is also present here, and this is the internal HTML of the button. Okay, so now let's make that button do something. Let's say, so these are how we define the events, right? So we're gonna, to attach an event to an element, we say on UI.canvas, UI.button, hold on, we're gonna say UI, okay, so we say on, and then we give it the event. So the event is gonna be click, and then we give it the element we want it to be attached to, so button. Okay, and that gets some event. And then what we're gonna do something, okay? What are we going to do when the button is clicked? We are going to simply print button clicked. Okay, now this is all in the UI monad. So, but the print here is gonna be a IO operation, right? So we have to say lift IO to run this operation, okay? And then we shut down the server, we run it again, it gets reloaded, and we click yes. And what happens is that our output says button clicked. Now we can click it again, and it also says button clicked. So now we have a GUI that's interacting with our Haskell program here.